framed that way, where the goal of our film in this instance, in creating this, was we want people to want to know more. We want people to be curious. We want people to self-educate. We want them to get involved in learning.
So how do you measure that? Is that just looking at, after the film premieres, looking at the Google trends and searches? Like how do you know if you've been, or have you all thought about how you know if you're successful?
I think that in a perfect world, we'd have a post-film survey. You know what I mean? Like you'd have the ability to actually like look at it. And, if you were to think of it as a clinician, or you think of it, in terms of what the commercial world calls KPI, right? Like, but what we would say is like, was it successful or was it not? And by, what are you going to measure that by? I think that, we could do a much smaller sample size of feedback in the same way that Nielsen does. And we wouldn't have to pay for it, but we can just look at social. We can look at water cooler conversation. We can look at what happens around people's reactions to the film. What kind of live streaming conversations take place post having seen it? What happens in online and print media around this conversation? Does it make the leap from the crypto knowledgeable into the world of the crypto curious, and beyond that into the world of, what the community so affectionately calls no coiners, right? The people who have ignored that space for so long. And, can we permeate the conversations and allow people to react to this story in each of those buckets? And the further it gets removed from, the crypto enthusiast and more into, the native conversation of water cooler talk or country club talk or, fellowship talk, those kinds of things, like where it's finding its way into the halls of people gathering, then I think that would be how we could measure its success, right? Like my mom donates her time on a Monday afternoon to a thing that's called the quilt bunch or something like that, right? Or blanket bunch. That's what it's called, the blanket bunch. And they just kind of spend their time creating crafts and things, and then use those to raise money and donate them to worthwhile causes. If that group of ladies, while doing their blanket bunch stuff on a Monday afternoon, were to have an organic conversation removed from me having directed the film, right? Like this would be some other blanket bunch that exists a state over, and I have no close connection to them. But as an analogy, if that group of ladies starts and has a conversation one afternoon about this movie or this space, then that's success.
Wow. Yes. Hopefully get the blanket bunch.
Blanket bunch. That's the
wow.
new metric.
That would be cool.